No, 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 no. Wait.
Alright, boys and girls, what I wanted to talk to you today about is the fact I think Arc Raiders may need a delay.
Please don't do this. You don't have to do this.
As you're well aware, I am quite the fan of Arc Raiders since that tech test. And for the last 5 or so years, as another gamer streamer out there on the internet, one of many, I've kind of put my focus on extraction games for a while because it's just a genre that I found interesting and somewhat fresh, pushing like the shooter genre in an interesting direction that I kind of wanted to investigate and like get into and sink my teeth into as a gamer, not just as a streamer, YouTuber, wannabe. And we're now well under 50 days. 50 days. I think we're at 48 days until the supposed release. For me, my biggest concern about it being released in October in particular, and October 31st, is the fact that it's releasing between two big giants, right? Bang. Call of Duty, Battlefield 6. Now you're going to say to me, why should I care? November 14th is when Call of Duty is releasing, and then Battlefield releases at the start of October. Look, there's been some other concerning stuff as well, all right? Battlefield 6 just announced that they're releasing their Battle Royale the day before Arc Raiders comes out, all right? That's breaking news. This is after, rather, that I recorded all this other stuff, okay, that we were talking about. Use your brain, okay? It is concerning. They're different games, yes, but goddamn, man, this is possibly one of the worst release windows I've ever seen. But TheSpudHunter, why would it affect the game's sales or like popularity or whatever? They're not the same genre. It doesn't have to be in the same genre for that to happen. And if you do want something in the same genre, the only extraction game that is relevant and has survived its grandfather status, you know, the game that pushed this whole genre into the mainstream, Escape from Tarkov, it's releasing 1.0 November 15th. It's literally the only extraction game that survived. I'll get into more about Dark and Dark a little bit later, but in my opinion, Dark and Dark is an incredibly niche game now. It was the only game outside of Tarkov in the extraction genre that had a chance to flourish and be something more mainstream and successful, and they pissed it all down the drain. There's windows of release that are smart, where there's like a break period from all the big AAA, big studios releasing their annual releases. So you don't get dwarfed by it. Also consider Borderlands 4 just released, and then you had Silksong 2 have its big indie game pop off. A lot of money is being spent on these games because they're trustworthy games for the average player consumer, where they'll be like, I can put my money into this and I'm guaranteed gonna have a good time. It's like when people go to a Marvel film, everyone keeps complaining that it's just Marvel films all the time, but the average person just keeps going there for the special effects and the template of like self-referential breaking the fourth wall humor, because guess what, it's a guaranteed, you know, good time for most people. They won't go and see some weird art house film where like a French chick's gonna shoot out a wine bottle out of a cooch in some like horror film, and then the wine bottle comes alive and it's actually her dad or something. I don't fuck, some weird alternate story that just doesn't make sense to the average person, but you know, there's a deeper meaning behind the wine bottle. Essentially, for the average person, Arc Raiders will be that wine bottle, metaphorically speaking. They can't trust what's inside the wine bottle. They don't know. Let me stop with the silly analogies and the metaphors. I'll just cut straight to the short and curlies and get to the meat and potatoes, okay? We're there now. I'll stop with the setup. They're working class game, but they only have a limited amount of money. Maybe a couple $100 or $50 a year to like spend on games. USD, maybe AUD, depends where you're from, right? For me, when I remember when I was a kid and I didn't have a lot of money, I could probably buy like 4 games a year, and that was at 100 AUD. So that's like 30, 40 USD at the time, something like that, right? For me, I could only buy a couple games a year, and I invested it in the big ones. For me, as a PC game, it was going to be Warcraft 3 and Half-Life 2 back when I was a teenager, shit like that, right? People do the same thing to this day. The average console player does. So when the marketing person has decided, oh, we're going to slam dunk this game at this date, they already knew that Battlefield and Call of Duty were going to release around that time. At the end of the day, you can't always predict when you're going to like release a product around all sorts of other products. You know, sometimes it's right time, right place. But when you are literally sandwiched between two major franchises like that, yes, it's not the same genre specifically, but there is crossover. It's a shooter, right? It is trying to target the console market, all that kind of stuff. And people have a limited pocket. They're only going to buy a couple games. And people have limited wallets, limited pockets, money. Now it's not a condom. It looks like one, but it's actually just a metal ring in my wallet. Every time I pull this out, it's almost 20 years old, this wallet. I had this before the desync wars, but this fucking wallet has a ring on it, right? But it's not. It's just straight up a piece of metal. People also have limited money. The average person isn't like a full-time Twitch streamer or nerd gamer that's going to buy all of these games throughout the year. So they're the guaranteed purchases for most people, especially Battlefield 6 after the successful beta. If I was the producer of Arc Raiders and I was looking at the marketing guy, I would be thinking to myself right now, look, you know, we're onto a good thing with this game. I think there's a lot of potential for the extraction genre, which is still a bit niche to really embrace it, but we're trying to go for the bigger audience than that, and they clearly are, right? We should probably release a little bit further away from it. It's not just, is it the same genre, are the same people gonna play it? It's also capturing like that energy, the news, the social media feeds, you know, when something pops off. You're gonna struggle to pop off when literally Call of Duty and Battlefield are taking all of the limelight in that period. I'm not trying to be alarmist and you're like thinking, why are you making a video on this? I like Arc Raiders and I really want to play it long term. And as someone who's a qualified YouTube, Twitch streamer gamer of the genre, where literally almost every single one of my favorite extraction games have all crapped the bed, let's say Cycle Frontier and Darker Darker to just name a few, I have a little bit of a connection and investment into like Arc Raiders doing well because I like the game and I want to be able to play with other people. It's a multiplayer game. So them releasing in this period and committing to it is questionable to me. I mean, I won't name names, but I've also talked to one or two big Escape from Tarkov content creators that I get on with. They said the same thing, that it's just baffling that they've sandwiched their release literally in between Call of Duty and Battlefield 6. Yes, it's not an extraction game, but there's more to it than just being the same genre. It's still a shooter, and there's still crossover with the market of gamers. And also, it just steals the limelight from them. I'm glad they're not rushing the game. I'd rather Arc Raiders release in a polished state rather than it being rushed. You know, they only release once, and if you release once in a terrible state, it's bad. RIP Cycle, Rob, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I cry every day in my pillow. I miss it. A lot of potential with that game. Yeah, I'd rather they release in a good state and not rush it. So I'm not suggesting that they should rush it, because rushing it would have been releasing in the last 3 months, right? But at the end of the day, that was a really good window. The last 3 to 4 months, the multiplayer scene has been barren. Even right now in September, it is very barren. It's just like tumbleweed. Everything pops off in October, November, leading into December with all these big mainstream multiplayer games. And I just feel like Arc Raiders is going to get dwarfed in it. I want to be wrong. I want egg in my face. I want a big of just splat wrong energy all over, like, and the game just pops off when they release it. And you can all laugh at me while I'm wiping off egg, wrongness jizz all over my face. You know, just like, you're laughing at me. Spuddy, he's so wrong. He's so wrong. I love you when the streamer is wrong. Happy to be wrong. I want to be wrong. There is something. There's a little twitch in me balls. I just feel like it's just a terrible window to release Arc Raiders. I want it just as much as everyone else here, but there is something about bang on the end of October being one of the worst periods for them to possibly push out this game into the world. So all the fanboys of the game, the tech test was fantastic, but that's what you and I think. The rest of the world, which is what they need, because it's a live service, they need to catch a load of gamers and keep them in. It has to be sold to them. They don't care. They don't care like you and I that care about the game, that play the tech test. They don't care. You killed it already, game over? Yeah, probably, right? Just a weird thought piece that I've thought I'd put out into the world because I'm passionate about the game, and as much as I want the game right now, it's possibly the worst time to do it. Maybe they should delay it, you know, maybe. But doesn't mean I'm right. So I just thought I'd squeeze that thought out into the world. And I'd also give you guys an update on my channel, you know, the regulars, this channel, TheSpudHunter, that I've got 2 channels going, TheSpudHunter and just TheSpudHunter. TheSpudHunter, this channel is just sort of like the OG channel, and I'm just gonna make it a channel where I upload thoughts, random bits and bobs, maybe some gameplay videos from certain games and streams where it's a little bit of humorous moments of me talking about things. SpudHunter channel is going to be like my big comedy commentary videos where I just take you on a journey, and I've fully produced these videos over weeks, sometimes months, with big scripts and setups and payoffs, and I'm really proud of those videos. Some people hate the fact that I'm splitting the channel into like 2 channels, but you'll see why and it will make sense. This channel is basically going to have all the lower effort stuff and shorts and just wacky stuff, and this other channel is going to be the highly curated juice, the absolute creme de la creme of the juice that I exfoliate out of my system. And if you want to consume the juice, it'll be on SpudHunter. I have these 3 videos coming out. This one's already out, which is the Battlefield one. If you want to watch it, search up DAD Battlefield. That's how you'll find it, and you'll see this thumbnail. If you don't, I'll put a link in the comments down below, pinned, and you can click on that link and watch it. Otherwise, you don't have to watch it either. Only subscribe to that channel if you want to watch videos on random games where I just do a big epic commentary on things I care about. If you don't want to watch that, don't sub to it. No pity subs, because subbing to it and then not watching the videos will just kick me swiftly in the balls. You don't want to do that if you like my balls. I like my balls. Thanks for listening to the ramble. This is done on the live stream, so thanks to everyone who just, watched me talk into the void and only respond to a couple comments. I am concerned about Arc Raiders. And a final comment, Dark and Darker.
Here we go again.
Some people have been asking me, because this channel at one point for 2 years straight on YouTube was just a Dark and Darker channel. I still play it every now and then on stream, but it's kind of dead in my region, OCE. And the lead developer developed it into the ground. Just, terrible decisions. You don't have to convince me that they're going in a better direction now. I've investigated myself. I just think it's more of the same old with the game. They've made some better decisions changing numbers, but they're adding like a water map. Half the assets are still off the Unreal Marketplace, it seems. I found like one of the sea goblin creatures off the Unreal Marketplace. I don't know what the hell those guys are doing there. I don't think an underwater map is the answer to Dark and Darker's problems. I just think they're just going to chase their tail for another 6 months, and then when the player base drops off again after the next major content update, probably going to be sunsetted sometime next year. I don't want that to happen. I'm not a hater. I don't like what they did with the game, but there's a big fan, one of the OGs like, Jonah Vale and your One Pegs and all those dudes that embraced the game early before most of the other streaming and YouTube world did, really got into it. Whether you believe me or not, I was unintentionally responsible for the hold the line motif. A lot of like new viewers don't know that, and they're like, oh, this TheSpudHunter guy, he's abandoned the game in the community, hates it, blah blah blah. It's just like, you don't know the full history. I was like, in a weird way, the unofficial like hype man for the game for a solid year there during the playtest. So, when I used to use Twitter, I had an account with 10K followers that I had constant like memes and clips and pictures that would go viral, hyping up the game for the next playtest and stuff. Even people joked about the fact that I should have been like a community manager for the game at one point. Not that that's something I want. Hopeful for the best, but kind of expecting the worst. This channel, like I said in that comment before, is kind of going to be a bit more lighthearted and me just getting things out quite quickly, and there won't be always like humorous things that I've well thought out. Like this video right now, you probably laughed or smirked at me once, only once, but that's because me trying to be funny is going to be on that other channel, a fresh channel, a new horizon, a new beginning, and hopefully you'll join me there. And if you've put up with me rambling all this time in this video, thank you very much.